And all right, let's roll straight into the next episode of Terra Invicta, because I'm trying to record these in pairs. So any feedback on the last one will come into effect in episode 5. What are we going to try and achieve this episode? Well, we've got some more alien surveillance ships to splash, but it's basically a full refresh of the Mars economy, everything up to T2. We're probably going to want our directed space research. We're going to want our first hate reduction techs. We're probably going to want a small battle fleet around Mars, and the continued consolidation of the Earth picture. So basically, this is the economic sort of tier jump episode, but we're also going to keep an eye out for alien escalations, because I understand they've got a couple of new tricks up their belt. It's going to be interesting to see what they can come up with.
Soren van Wijk, meeting his new chief of engineering.
That's a great Soren quote. Unless you two want to be showered in liquid lead, make damn sure the coolant circuit doesn't break again, and see to it that these statues of your predecessors are removed. Protectorate has finished, well, they picked to go from molten core fission to gas core fission, so whether we like it or not, we're down the fission path pretty hard in this game. So even as we're trialing all the shittier drives, we're working towards the gas core drives. This is a 20,000 research piece, so this ain't going to be ready until 2027. But it's got the way for, it gives us heavy fission reactor arrays, which is a power upgrade, a more space efficient power upgrade that we can potentially leverage on Mars, and access to a line of reactors which can potentially give us some decent starting drives. We're mostly focusing on this one, advanced atomic manipulation. No one's helping because they see we're dominating, but I'm happy to do the heavy lifting because this is the one that pushes us towards what we really want, which is an additional counselor, hate reduction techs, all of that fine quantum computing goodness. We've also detected alien abductions, so I'll send a surveillance mission over because on the list of things I didn't mention that we need to do this episode, if we can take out more of the Hydra that are on Earth, that's going to slow down their missions and can only be in our interests. There we are, Xenoform Alpha 2. So we'll keep an eye on him, but the problem is Shira Calpurnia is a little bit overtasked. So maybe if we're lucky, here we are, set arrival alarm. Alien fleet, Victor 26 is targeting low Earth orbit 1. All right, we'll set arrival alarm. That might be an alien retaliation mission. We're going to invite more of it because we're sitting at 75 MC, which should put our base hate level in the 40s or something.
Standing by for orders.
What I'm thinking we might be able to do then...
I'm here. Reporting in.
Marley's not very good at purging. But is there any chance? Absolutely there is.
Targeting the opposition.
So Marley can take over that purge job. So
Where do you need me?
Calpurnia, with her 15 investigation. Ooh, that's going to be expensive even just for a 50-50, but I'll take it. We need to start building up an intelligence picture.
Standing by.
I will see what I can do to boost her in a moment to get her intelligence even higher. We're going to need more. There are some boost organizations around here, so we might have to do some shuffling. Yeah, she's got some science and stuff. We'll pull off some of the science and go from there. But yeah, tally on that one. We'll get Elaine to start investigating the actual sites for the xenology bonus.
Ready to go.
Also to advance our challenge, because we've now tested the original engine, I feel like we can go ahead and test 3 more. I'm refitting my escorts to use the Diana chemical engine, the Venture chemical engine, and the Meteor chemical engine, because if I can get a ship using that system and then use it in combat once, I think that counts as a successful test. And to be honest, Earth orbit combat in 2026 is just about the only context in which I think I'm going to be able to get away with motors that are going to give me, what, 2.5 kps delta V? It's not impressive. It's basically current day technology. But I guess it's good to know that we could do something against a threat in orbit with current day technology, as long as we were willing to stretch in order to do it. Meanwhile, Mr. Banerjee, I will give you $1 million money to F off, mate. Okay, the first skunk works have come online, which has blown a hole in our money income and temporarily put us negative on volatiles because our volatiles mines are in the process of upgrading. We should be able to hold on for, well, they'll be done well before that runs to 0, but a little bit of a warning there about rapidly increasing your costs. So upgrade faster, guys. On the plus side, it's opened up yet another research slot and jumped our bonus on engineering projects from plus 60% to plus 120% thereabouts. So significant reduction in research time for engineering, major boost. The next major boost for research will be directed space research, but that's still a little bit of a while off. but I'm going to pick up heavy fission pile so we can upgrade our tier 2 settlements a little bit more. Hydra biology for the story mission. May as well use that plus 94% bonus while we've got it running. And arrival markets is really cheap. We're picking it up in like less than a month, and it adds even more orgs to the monthly spawn in case we find some particularly good ones. I'm also going into the United States. It might take a couple of rolls to get it, but I've got the influence. And then once I've got that US point, we'll talk about a strategy for saving ourselves a little bit of money in the near term, or at least cushioning this, because we're still running positive, but it's going to get tighter and tighter as we continue to expand in space. For some reason, astronauts demand on being paid. I don't get it. Well, the good news is we're positive on mining material again, because a lot of our next level mines are finishing on Mars. The bad news is that it's pushed us into the negative, because we are now spending a shitload of money maintaining our ever-increasing space infrastructure. There is a solution for this. I've gone up to 5 points on the United States. We won't take number 6 until we consolidate Sweden and Denmark. And even then, we'll probably use that to consolidate more European states rather than go for the executive until we increase the CP cap a little. But there's 2 things we need to do. One, we're going to hand off another base because we're about to hit the mining limit. So Humanity First is about to get handed a Martian base to bootstrap them up and also prevent us going over the limit. And secondly, after we finish arrival markets, there's one other tech we need to pick up, and then it's time to dump some influence in the United States. I'll show you why. Here we go. Hans is very happy to give us solid core fission 4 Atlanta Laboratories, which is a basic org, but one of the better ones they had, in exchange for this mining base, Sagan, which we finished in about a month. So he's happy to take it incomplete, knowing that it's going to bump him up positive in about a month or so. It's going to lower our mission control consumption by 2, which we can instantly use. I'll solve that in a moment, which we can instantly use to probably upgrade 2 other Martian bases, because 75 is about the level I'm comfortable with, at least until we expand a little bit more. And we've done a good deed by Humanity First in the process. Need to get those proxies up to speed, you know? Okay, so the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that my money income is now not as negative as it was, and at the same time my influence is lower. That's because what I've started doing is deploying direct investment. We researched technology that reduced the cost of the direct investment in influence terms by 25%. Then we went into this menu, and it turns out that we can just leverage the government of the European Union to give us more funding. Completely legitimately, this is just lobbying. So 190, the magic number is 12 investment points, because it's a per 1. So 12 investment points gets me an extra 15 income per month. We're saved up for 10 at the moment, so more influence income would be great. One way to get that is to increase our CP cap, because if we do that, we reduce the cost by 1.3 per day. So every month, we should hopefully be increasing our income pretty consistently. This will be our main driver of influence cost going forward, offsetting our funding problem. Because at the moment, most of our income actually comes from our councillors. In particular, a lot of our funding comes from Toby and the legitimate businesses that he has stacked up that are bringing in a lot of our cash. We would probably like to get to the point where we're drawing more funding from the European Union budget than we are organised crime organisations around the world. In particular, look, basically the American black market is funding our organisation at this point. So we want to get around that. It'd be good to have an alternative. Other than that, diplomacy is going on. I'm going to research transnational integration to lift this control point cap up. Plus, we're soon going to be able to absorb Sweden and Denmark, which should bring us back under CP cap. And looks like we have the next alien surveillance ship in orbit. So, okay, let's continue that, pause that. We have a fleet grouped up. The retreat, the departure, the discretion. We'll need to rename the crane. There we are, the mighty ship, the redeployment. And we now have, you'll notice, different classes, the Venture testbed, the Diana testbed, the Neutron testbed, because we have a whole bunch of different motors, different rocket engines rather, to cross more of those chemical rockets off the list. So by sending all 4 of these into combat, we will successfully combat test an additional 4 drives, some of which are completely garbage. They cost a whole bunch of volatiles to fuel. They are awful. And I think the KPS of this group is 2.5, which is abysmal. But, they should suffice for our purposes. So transfer Victor 28. Let's spend as little of our KPS as possible getting there because, you know, we're going to need a lot of it to get back to the station. Order by Delta V expenditure. And I'm willing to spend enough to get there in about a day. Transfer, and let's go torp the bastard. Okay, here we are, let's engage. Both fleets are willing to fight. By now, you know the drill. The aliens will think the previous one was a fluke. It was not. Priority target, drift, lock. Very simple fleet tactics. We're not going to try and maneuver. We don't have the fuel. If I try and maneuver, we're going to burn out. We're going to strand our ships in orbit, which then leads to refueling operations. Those are possible, but we want to avoid them if we can because, you know, don't want to build another tanker ship given our MC is constrained as it is. This 4 ships is already a pretty luxurious defensive force. We have smaller volleys or torpedoes this time. Sorry, we have smaller magazines because these are all carrying research labs as well, but the number of torpedoes should suffice. Because you've got to think the relative velocity here is going to be pretty impressive. We maximized our starting velocity. If we had better engines, one thing you could do with torpedoes to get more through the PD is increase that relative velocity. We could burn hard, we could release the weapons later, and then allow them to burn at the optimum time. So there's some advanced missile tactics we can leverage later. We just don't have the tech. Right now, we're reliant on the tin can approach. And the aliens will eventually adopt better anti-missile defenses to respond to us using this tactic. But these are all ships they were building at the start when they thought we were harmless monkeys. Beautiful. As I said, could have done it with fewer ships, but this way I get to check off another three or four engines from the tested in combat list. And we have concluded they all suck. But hey, mission accomplished. No surveillance mission for you. Let's see how much exotics I get from that one. It'll be tiny, because surveillance ships don't tend to be blinked out. Yeah, 0.12. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Another officer promoted. We'll talk about officers a little later on. I'm still understanding how the system works, but there we are. Operational. We'll wait for the fleet to come around again, and then we'll launch to Leo to Shipyard. We'll burn, 2 days until you get there is fine. And then repair, resupply on arrival. The reason to spend less Delta V is because that's actually a significant amount of volatiles. I think refueling this entire fleet fully takes an entire month of volatiles income, which I'm not keen to throw away for speed that we don't need. But there we are, splash another one. That should put us solidly into the 50s regarding alien hate. But they're not really, they don't really have a bunch of retaliation ships ready to go. So I'm hoping that the damage will arrive late 26, early 27, by which point we should be stockpiled up, hopefully industrialization from space finishes in a reasonable amount of time, and we can get to that stage where we can rebuild our infrastructure faster than they destroy it to, deal with their feelings. There's our Retaliation, Victor 33 launching to low Mars orbit, expected 16 June 2027. So, let's have a look at this guy. Victor 33, a Dying Galaxy class monitor, 13,000 tons. So this ship displaces more than our entire fleet. Unfortunately, we don't have any idea what equipment is on it. If it's coming for our station, we might be able to shoot it down without annoying the aliens too much. What I would probably want to do to that is decommission one ship in Earth orbit to save some MC, and then start building up a fleet of monitors with missile boats with new engines in Mars orbit that can be ready, well, some can be ready before it arrives. I'm not sure there'll be enough to shoot it down. It looks like it might have significant defensive armaments. This thing looks like it might actually be significantly more dangerous. So either we just let it destroy all our stuff, or we try and shoot it down and then we wait for the next ship that comes along, probably in greater numbers, to destroy our stuff. But considering I don't think you get any hate for destroying ships if the aliens attack you, since, they kind of asked for it, they put their hand in the cookie jar, a small Mars defense fleet might be on the cards. Especially now that we're getting to the point where I've tested almost all the chemical engines, I might be able to build something that's actually slightly more useful, meaning maybe monitors become viable. We'll see. But this thing is due middle of next year. But here's ferrocytes. Where a pheromone is a chemical that can influence a recipient's behavior, ferrocytes are an actual living cell. Pheromones' effect wears off relatively quickly. Ferrocytes are capable of reproducing the recipient's body, thereby extending the effect for significantly longer. Cross-referencing fMRI scans, anomalously high level of theta waves, normally only present during REM sleep or deep hypnosis. All right, so this is us learning about the alien mind control technology.
What environmental circumstances led to this evolutionary adaptation, Director?
Interesting question, yes. But the reason we want to push this research into the mind control tech is it pushes us towards the captivity tech, which in turn gets us closer to the stuff that lets us build more mission control without the aliens going completely apeshit on us. Alien ferrocytes are a fascinating evolutionary phenomenon, totally unlike anything that is developed on Earth, thankfully. When introduced into the system of non-Hydra, they make their way to the parietal lobe, regulate impulse connectivity. There we are. From there, they exercise a strong and immediate influence over the subject's empathy, attachment, and drives. The influence persists until the ferrocytes die off, which can take days, if not weeks. While this is not mind control, as popular fiction would understand it, the effect is similar. Although the breakthrough is of course good news, it is nevertheless worrying. The alien ability to exercise control is far more advanced than we had suspected. Preventing ferrocyte exposure is relatively straightforward. Basic filtration systems will suffice. But without extensive research, we have no means of countering the ferrocytes except time. We can now research Hydra containment when it becomes available. We will do that. I'll get some points on alien technology in the meantime, but at a low priority. What I want is alien containment, because it looks like there is another alien active in Russia, because we've just seen abductions happen. So we'll ID this one, and then we'll start leveling up Shira Calpurnia's investigation, not her espionage, which might mean switching out some organizations, because her next one's going to have to be a capture, not a kill. Surveillance ship Victor 20 also entering Earth orbit. Once again, let's send out our fleet. Low DV expenditure, 1.4 day interception is fine.
The people will come to our side.
I'm setting up to take my next CP in the US as soon as CP cap opens up. It's maneuvering to avoid combat. Interesting. That's interesting. The alien doesn't want to fight. We'll spend another 0.3 DV to intercept it again. Send aid to flooded areas of the European Union, that's fine. It wants to avoid combat, interesting. So we're gonna go back and resupply. I don't feel bad about this. I don't feel bad about this at all. We might split the fleet and go after it with 2 ships instead. But as you can see, completing a surveillance mission is going to take until the 2nd of May 2027. So if it doesn't want to, and every time it chooses not to fight, it chooses to evade, it resets that mission timer. So we could just juggle this ship, ruining its observations of Earth without actually shooting it down, and I don't think that causes any hate. So while we won't get the exotics for shooting it down, it's also a way of passively resisting their surveillance ops. That said, I will split the fleet and see if we can shoot it down, because the exotics are good, and I'd rather not have an accumulation of alien ships that can group up into larger and larger fleets in orbit. But interesting that they've apparently decided that these fights are not so smart after losing a couple of ships to them. Okay, we've got our next drive that we're going to need to test, the Dumbo. So I've got that in line. I've also started researching alien containment, which I'm rushing for January, hoping that by the time January comes around, we will have 5 intelligence on this Hydra we've identified. 61%, oof. Security 19, this is going to be a harder target, so we're going to have to really boost Shira in order to make this happen. But Xenoform Alpha 6, if we can get 5 intelligence on it, and we can boost up maybe, I want to squeeze maybe 4 or 5 extra investigation points out of Shira between org switches and maybe a level up or 2. So that would be, if we can get her like 21, 22 investigation and a +5 bonus for intelligence, maybe a detained target by January. Rough goal. Let me get to the end of the year and then I'll sort of do a bit of a zoom out description of where Operation Proxy is going and the direction we're taking it. Looks like they're shooting another Hydra operative to Earth, due 20 October. And with the United States now, with us bringing the welfare changes down, we're pushing the rest value for cohesion up. So now the rest value is 3.47. Once this stabilizes at around a rest value of 5, we can switch the US onto other things. We also need to go, let's go 20% government across the board, because this distribution gives you bonus investment. We're just under the full democracy level. So let's drag that back up, because what I want is a full democracy with a moderate level of inequality, a solid 5-level cohesion, which is most efficient for research. So basically optimize the research outcome, then we can go from there. The Unity investment is slowing down the government's score slightly, but it increases Unity, it increases our popularity. Basically, I want the US, I want to fix the US for Americans, and then we can get the US doing stuff in the interest of Exodus. But first we need to solve the core issues of what causes the US to underperform on research output, and we're working on it. I'm also putting a tiny bit into the military to see if we can eventually get this number up above 5, just because for visual purposes, in case an alien army is able to land, the US military is going to be our primary defense against it. But compared to like a Humanity First run where I would be heavily investing military and running around the place, not so much here. Also now we have the executive. Hopefully we can end the bloody forever war with Iran. I don't want to throw the servants out of Iran because they're paying 36 control point cap for a country that produces basically nothing, because it has been totally ruined by years of war. So yeah, that's the plan. Let me get to January, then we'll do a bit of a status report. Transnational coordination is done, pushing us back under the CP cap and meaning we can move on to more European nations while also holding the US. Fantastic. Frees up a spot for advanced prospecting surveys, which is a great 10% off-Earth mining output across the board, which we don't have to pay for with MC cap, for a mere 1,500 research. That'll be done in February. Alien containment will be due 25th December, so when we do our end-of-year status update, we'll have alien containment in tow. And that's what I wanted, alien containment. Our architects have devised an alien containment facility.
We are ready to capture an alien, Director.
Construction of the facility required some testing, but was relatively straightforward. Our personnel are confident that it should hold a live alien. On that subject, our research teams have been mentioning their work would be greatly assisted if they had a live alien to study. Addendum. Despite attempts to encourage the use of a more scientific name, our personnel are continuing to refer to the aliens as Hydras. At this point, we may have to give up the battle and accept the term. Our research into hydrobiology has come to a dead end. To learn more, we need a live specimen. Our science team has full confidence in your ability to carry out the task. On a related note, several of our personnel have noted that if we are going to launch a colony ship, it might be prudent to launch it away from Hydra space rather than towards them. Good point. In which case, interrogating a Hydra seems to be a logical step. Wonderful. We'll swap that slot back to alien technology, so we're always using that boot, but I don't need that before roughly August, so we can slow all this down, which should speed up our movement into, let's go advanced prospecting, but mostly let's speed up quantum encryption. Yeah, we can bring that back to, if we're willing to sacrifice a little bit of pacing on advanced prospecting surveys, we can get quantum encryption in October. Still not fast enough, but the point is, because I'm rushing all my tech into this, none of the other factions are deciding to help, which is fine. They're still pushing forward the other techs, but it basically means I'm doing all the heavy lifting on quantum encryption, which is a bit annoying. Shira, it seems, can manage a 47%, which we can throw a couple of times. Elaine can come in with the backup.
Defending the VIP.
He can run backup in case that mission fails.
Acknowledged.
I'll take 47%. We managed to get to 22 investigation by stacking Kira up with some generic intelligence services, the European Director General of External Security, the Director General for Internal Security, an information group, an information broker, an information group. We could probably ditch IT services temporarily, but that'd be very expensive to swap that out for even more. And the Indian Research and Intelligence Analysis Wing. So this is a very multinational operation involving American groups, European security organizations, private security contractors, and an arm of the Indian government. So yeah, I'd love to see the behind the scenes organization for that one, but the sum total is 47% roll on an alien detention. That's what we want. Let's do a status report, and then we might leave this as a cliffhanger for the rest of the episode. So I said Operation Proxy was a bit of a go. Let's talk about what I mean there. If we go back to our intelligence page here, you can see in terms of relations that we have non-aggression with everyone except for the servants and the protectorate, but even they're fine with us. They just won't give us non-aggression packs. That's okay. We'll get them if we can, but they're a bit miffed about us doing the whole blowing up alien ships and shooting Hydra thing. We get intelligence sharing with with Humanity First, the Resistance, and the Academy. We see what they see, we see their agents, and critically, they see what we see. So if we are able to compromise the servants and the protectorate, compromise their agents, I'm pretty sure that will allow Humanity First to see those operatives and potentially go and assassinate them. That's one aspect of Operation Proxy. The other is you may have noticed a change in the resource tab. Namely, Humanity First is now catching up on the space resources and is very competitive with the Resistance and the Academy. They're up to 22 MCUs, 25 for the Resistance, 34 for the Academy, and the Resistance has just started launching their first ships. If we go to HABs, you'll see why this acceleration is happening. The Resistance didn't need a huge amount of help. They have a base on Mars, a base on Ceres, another base on Mars that's already mining, Luna, some low Earth orbit, and another Mars base already mining. Humanity First has started to really expand, and the reason they've done that is because we gave them Artemis on the Moon, Allegiance and Sagan on Mars, which collectively is giving them a reasonable income across the board. And they're using that to then produce an additional Mars base and then a trio of asteroid bases, all of which will come online. Actually, no, some will be in 2027, not 2028. So early 2027, late 2027, late 2028. And some of these have really good noble incomes. That one's got 15.6, really solid for the AI. So this should hopefully cause their build out in space to go much, much faster. Basically, it allows me to expand my resources to build up space infrastructure, hand it off to someone else. They take responsibility for the violence they'll then do with the aliens. I'm hoping that the Resistance to Humanity First will then start shooting down some of these surveillance missions and suck up alien attention. The Academy doesn't need any help. They are all over the asteroid field, which is good. I think the asteroid field is OP. It's one of the reasons why I'm willing to rule it out in house rules so often. Asteroids can be really, really good in terms of yields. I mean, look at this one. 51 nobles. This one outpost mining base for the Academy will equal our entire monthly production for all of our mines. So this is part of the reason why I rule out asteroids. They're also really annoying for the aliens to deal with because they have to fly all over the place. So the Academy is in really good shape. The Protectorate, the servants, they're a little bit further behind, particularly the servants. They're going to have an asteroid base done in 2028. And other than that, it's just one mine on the moon. One mine on the moon that's going to keep them going until eventually they get their asteroid mining location. The Protectorate's being held up by the fact that they did get to Mars early and start mining on Deimos. And they've got 3 asteroid mines on the way. So the Protectorate's going to be more of an issue than the servants so far, but I'm okay with that. What I might actually do, if we look at Mars, is I might actually set up 1 or 2 other locations and then sell them off as well. Like, I'm already over 50. I am actively being retaliated against, so I can afford to use a little bit more MC. I could afford to, say, start a mine construction. I won't actually do this, but I could set up 237 days from now, I could have another mine ready at Terra Serenum, and I could sell that off to a human faction as well. They get those incomes. It would cost me basically nothing to do compared to the scale of my revenues, but it would boost them even more. So I might do that, a little bit of that off screen, and try and basically push them to the point where they're doing more of the combat. This is what the Resistance has already launched so far, 2 Menelaus class escorts. Oh, interesting. This isn't horrible. This isn't horrible. This will shoot down an alien. This is 2 Artemis torpedo bays. They don't have a magazine, so they only have 12 torpedoes per boat, but as we've seen, that's probably enough. And they're using solid core fission reactor 5s with 4 forward armor, 4 forward composite armor, and the Dumbo engines. They're not very good nuclear motors that we have just researched and will test at some point too. That's fine. That'll work. If they send this up against a surveillance ship, which I hope they do, I just don't know if the AI knows it can do it, but if it figures it out, this will shoot down a surveillance ship just fine. So we are starting to see our first human ships come online. I have more to say, but first, let's roll the dice on this detain mission.
Target in a secure
There we are,
location.
captured live alien. It is impossible to describe the sensation of gazing upon a creature from another world with one's own eyes. No words could adequately explain how uncanny it feels to see such a thing move and draw breath and turn its own unquestionably alien eyes upon us. Even had we sent a poet, they would not have been able to convey the mingled sense of awe and wrongness, the terrifying privilege of beholding something that does not resemble anything else in human experience. the shape of the hulking skull, the tendrils that danced unnaturally within the mouth, the way the light plays across flesh textured and patterned like nothing else on Earth. Even these beings' sound challenges our very definition of language. The idea that we could ever know their mind seems, for now, frankly laughable. Let us hope that will change soon. Regardless of the fleeting encounters we or others might have had previously, and no matter what happens next, this is a watershed moment, never to be forgotten.
We are ready to attempt to question it.
The operation was a success. Our xenobiology division insisted on the use of non-lethal weapons against the Hydra target, which led to a certain number of casualties among the operations team, when the recommended dosage of sedatives turned out to be ineffective. In the end, several of our security personnel made unauthorized use of firearms to disable the Hydra. While they have been reprimanded, the Hydra was fortunately able to recover from its injuries and is now safely contained. Alright, so they tried to sedate it, it didn't work, they had to shoot it and sedate it, but it regenerated through the shooting phase anyway. Our biologists are busy studying the Hydra's regenerative processes and monitoring its health. In the meantime, our linguistics team is eager to begin work on learning its language. Communicate with a captured Hydra. Can do. Okay, so it's the 16th of January. Let's talk near-term strategy and what we're going to do in space. We need 3 things from the Earth game, and we're already well under CP cap, and we're going to be getting even more as we unlock some more techs and eventually get our 6th counselor. So this is going to keep exploding. So 3 different things we need from Earth. We're going to get them in 3 different places. We need research, we need funding, we need mission control. We're going to get the research by trying to break into China. Araxis is at 17 persuasion. I think I can get some orgs on her that'll get her up to 19, which will improve it, but enough public campaigns should break us in eventually, because each of these Chinese CPs is worth 145 research a month. Not bad. And if we can do some repair work on China, I'm happy to share it with humanity first, but if we can do some repair work on China, we can get that research up even more. We need funding. For that, we're going to go to the Baltic states, because they're controlled by the Protectorate. We can grab Latvia, we can grab Estonia. Oh, I need to redo that one. That's a base roll. We can do better than that. Need to do Latvia and Estonia. We'll then put them on funding. So they basically build up their funding, and then eventually we absorb them into the European Union, and that monetary income comes over. All good. The European Union is just going ham on the research at the moment, while the US is still fixing its stability, but it's getting there. Rest cohesion is now 4.15 because inequality is coming down, but still the US is going to be primarily focused, in fact I'll even disable the military for the moment. The US is going to be primarily focused on getting, I'll give it a little bit of environmental funding, is going to be primarily focused on getting research up, but first that means fixing stability, which we're doing. The US economy is fine, it doesn't need to be any bigger. But it would be a waste to divert it to mission control. Where are we going to get mission control? The logical place would be Italy and Spain. But we can't go to Italy and Spain because that would break our agreements with Humanity First, with the Initiative, with the Academy, and the Resistance. We would offend all 4 friendly factions, which is against our rules. We're not allowed to be too aggressive in space, which is why we weren't able to go out to Jupiter. We're not allowed to Jupiter rush or anything like that. And in fact, I think we'll need to put a year break on actions that actually start a fight with the aliens until it makes sense for the story, because that's just not our motivation. So Italy and Spain for the moment are out. We can eventually absorb the Baltic states that are controlled by the Protectorate, sure, all these states that are controlled by the Servants, but I think a better MC option is to go Canada, grab these control points off the Protectorate, build up Canada's maximum allowed 13 mission control. Canada's pretty good in other respects as well, and then eventually absorb it into the United States. Which will then bring our MC cost back down while also giving us 13 MC. Then maybe we repeat the exercise. We'll find another candidate for unification somewhere. If we get desperate, we'll have to break our peace treaties, but I think it's against the spirit of the rules. Another option, if we get greater European Union eventually, is we could bring the Turks into the European Union. That's another 13 mission control, basically looking for options like that. We've basically ruined the Gulf states at this point. Extreme inequality, the environmentalism has broken. So as soon as we pick up a few control points in China, we're going to switch this onto a welfare environment, 100% mix, take off spoils and abandon it. The country will start fixing itself slowly, but it's done all it can. It's going to be in a permanent state of civil strife because 3 people have all of the wealth, and the economy has been geared to 100% corruption for the last 5 years. So yeah, Gulf states has done their job, but no more. That's the Earth plan. In space, what we will do is we'll get Echo 6, and I think we'll go shoot down this surveillance destroyer. just because exotics is good, surveillance missions bad, and the AI, while they're building up their fleets, aren't quite at that point yet. And I'm okay provoking... Shooting down ships tends to cause much less hate. Individual destroyers causes much less hate than killing Hydra operatives, yet they can be so much more damaging than Hydra operatives. And since we got lucky with crits earlier and we're a little bit under our hate budget, when they do come to wreck our Mars stations, it's not going to be as critical as it might otherwise be. So we will do that transfer, we will make that shoot down. In terms of tech, I decided to take a voluntary shot to the knee here. The natural next step was mission to Mercury, because that's where we're allowed to go. But mission to Jupiter is where we would go if we were an unrestricted playthrough. So to make it a little bit harder, I'm going mission to Jupiter first anyway, hoping, one, to slow myself down, because we have to do this 10,000 research before we can do the one we really want, which is Mercury. And secondly, because I'm hoping this means the AI then fires out stations to Jupiter and becomes a distraction for the aliens. This gets the other factions interested in Jupiter early because they're running out of places to expand to on Mars. They're currently going to the asteroid belt, that's great, but maybe this will get them interested in Jupiter because it'll get their probes launched sooner rather than later. I think that's it for the near term. Let's go shoot down some aliens and test some more drives in the process. I've done some refits and we're knocking off the drives. What I'm basically going to be doing, if you look at the ship designer drives, I'm marking obsolete. In fact, I can now mark, because we're about to test both of them, we can mark everything that we have actually used, which means the only thing that hasn't been used yet is the Dumbo out of the engines we've unlocked, which is a solid core fission nuclear rocket that is open cycle. Open cycle means it doesn't need much radiator because the heat is being pumped out with the propellant. So we'll talk about that more when we start using Dumbo. But for the moment, we're testing the engines basically as quickly as they come in. There's like 100 engines in the game, I think, to get through. So the fact that we're through, you know, the first 7, it's a start. Jumping forward, it is now April. We have the 2 Baltic states that were under protectorate control locked in and producing funding, so all going well there. National development good, haven't gone to Canada yet, but are setting the stage for China. We built up a solid public relations bonus of about 30% public opinion. Once this is about 50, we should have a good chance of having us break in, although I might try next turn anyway, but I'm going to do public opinion one more time first. The big thing to notice is we have a lot more money now. And you might be asking, where did all that money come from? Did you trade it from the AI? Nope. One event. Toby is the hero of the hour. Just an event that I was just clicking through, barely read it. I just automatically pick the best choice every time I see it come up, and then bang, it happened. So there is a criminal event where you can be called upon your associates to go launch a heist, and there's a lot of things that can happen, including your person being detained. There's a small chance that you get a massive payoff. So there you are, massive payoff. This is now our float. If crime didn't pay, then no one would do it. So here we are, the mafia or someone coming through with it to keep Exodus funded for the near term. So we might have to feel a little bit queasy about just how much of our funding income is coming from organized crime, and then on top of it, events related to organized crime, but it is what it is. We'll take it. We're going to proceed from here. Toby, meanwhile, is just going around inspiring people. I've got Marilee switched over. I'm building up her science now because her job is now basically to boost the investment points that come out of the United States. With 25 administration, she's going to boost and 17 science. She's going to give a useful kick to the US every turn. So I think it's worth it not leveling her up as quickly because it's not a high experience mission and not having her available for other tasks. She just sits in Washington, DC and tells them what to do. And I think that's fair for the midterm. Wait a minute. Wait, what? This is new. This is absolutely new. Why is there an alien station? Yeah, that's around... Okay, that's in one of the stable points between... This is like a stable gravitic anchorage between the moon and Earth. And the aliens have popped up a station there. What's modules? Platform core, fusion pile, observation. Interesting. Point defense array, fusion pile, observation post. I'm guessing this thing can do observation missions. It looks like a small, like T1 station too. Is this a... I'm wondering if the devs have added this as a means to force players to fight in space early, or pay a price for not fighting in space early. Well, I want to go shoot it down because surveillance missions are obviously bad, but I suspect we're going to have a problem here. In that, if I look at Echo 10, 2.5 kps, what's it take to get to Earth Lunar L1? 7.4. We can't get there with chemical rockets. And I don't have any Dumbos. I only have 4.5 with my Dumbos around Mars. So we're going to need something better. So we have been unlocking technology. Turn on obsolete again. I unobsoleted some drives because they were appearing and I got... Anyway, here we are, Dumbo and Lars. So we have one better drive. We'll have a look at that in a moment. I have, in terms of tech, also grabbed directed space research, but I lost the tech slot to the Protectorate, who's gone Unity movements. Anyway, so directed space research means we're going to start overhauling our infrastructure as we unlock these level 2 research centers. So xenoscience first, then material science. So we'll start going to level 2 directed science, which will slow down our research temporarily and then bring it massively online. However, it will cost more cash reserves. So this problem is going to get worse before it gets better, even with us focusing on a whole bunch of funding. Luckily, being popular in China gives us more influence, which we can turn into funding. What we can do, let's go ship designer. I think we go with the same basic approach, probably. Basic escort. The Lars drive uses a molten core fission reactor. I only have level 1. So a molten core fission reactor, spinning fission reaction chamber filled with liquid tantalum or rhenium, operating at temperatures around 5,000 degrees Celsius. The Lars drive is liquefied fissioning uranium is spun around a stream of hydrogen, heating it as it is expelled through a nozzle. So 4.3 exhaust velocity, it runs on water, it's 85% efficient, and it has 13.3 thrust. So it's not the most efficient drive, but I'm guessing it can get us out there. So we'll put the lighter battery we have. I have a saltwater battery just because it weighs less than lithium ion. It's also better. We'll go with the lighter radiators. We shouldn't have a huge amount of waste heat. We've got liquid hydrogen containment, which will give us more delta V and a magazine, because we'll still need that. We're sticking with the Artemis torpedoes, I think. And then we'll layer up our armor, put 8 armor on the front, 1 armor on the back. 15 kps isn't enough. Let's go to 20 kps. I'm thinking that's the go. Oh, that's right, I was experimenting with this too. So I'll call this like Lars 2 or something. I'll save a ship like this, and I'll get 3, I think, in construction. If the aliens have 1-point defense array, I think 6 tubes of torpedoes will probably do it. So it'll take 90 days to produce those. This ship is still very cheap. 11 nobles, 56 metal, 34 volatiles, 150 water. So like a week or 2 worth of resources will pay for this little expeditionary fleet. But yeah, I'm not leaving this to stand. I'm not sure if this will finish in 90 days, probably. Because it's a level 1. If they build anything like ours, it'll finish before then. But I think I can knock down 1-point defense array. Also depends whether the fleet hangs around, but I'm imagining that's probably going to go home. That's very interesting. An alien threat in Earth orbit. I've just bid farewell to the Gulf states. I've switched them over to a welfare environment mix. Hopefully it helps eventually, but they've done their bit for humanity. We've taken our first step into the People's Republic of China. We're going to do more PR and show up at this point and then consider moving in for a second one. But I don't think we have the budget right now, so it might be more important for us to move into Canada. Unity movements will take a while, but so will building up all that MC. So kicking the Protectorate out of Canada, probably the next go. I want to maybe do a second point, but I'm just not sure I'm going to have the budget. Once quantum encryption comes online, though, and we get Counselor number 6, that's why I'm so ambitious at the moment. Because the idea, I've been stockpiling organizations. We have +3 admin, +3 admin, +3 admin, +3 admin, +3 admin. So instantly we can bolt a counselor a significant way up the administration ladder. So even though they'll be a low level, they're going to add a lot to our CP cap relatively quickly. At least that's the idea. That's the concept. I haven't seen any bigger plus organization ones, but it is what it is. We're also very close to consolidating the executive in the US, at which point I believe we can finally end this bloody war, which has basically destroyed Iran as a functioning nation and left the servants the king of the ashes. But it's also just not doing anything for the United States, and it's time to leave. I didn't start the war anyway, so it's time to say, you do you in this place. Wait, that's a problem. That is a problem.
Reporting in.
If I had to, we need to, that's a problem. We need to peace out before that finishes. Otherwise, they might fire it at the US. I don't know what the AI's rules are, but they're the servants. I don't trust them. So we'll piece that out before they complete that. And if they do complete the nuclear weapon, we're probably going to go for a coup or a crackdown purge solution.
Where do you need me?
Yeah. Shira can do it without going to war. She can crack down, purge into the executive if we need to. So we have a plan for Iran that doesn't involve invading them. Awesome. We also have those ships in construction. 3 Lars class escorts, 20 days to completion, and then we'll send them out to that orbital target. Also just unlocking one after the other the level 2 research locations. So a base 1 information science lab, level 1, tier 1, gives us 5 research points and a 2.5% bonus for 2 money a month. I'm mostly concerned about the 2 money. And a 3% bonus to the knowledge priority on Earth, up to a 30% bonus. So you need 10 of them to get the bonus. The tier 2 costs 3 times as much money, but you get twice as much science, 4 times as much bonus, but remember there are diminishing returns, and a 6% bonus to knowledge investments on Earth. So all in all, you are paying significantly more water and volatiles, sure. But we're going to double the science output and significantly ramp up the bonus in other respects and consolidate slots. So what we're going to do, but we will need more power, won't we? Yeah, I think that's what we do. So 1, 2, 3, 4 labs. So let's grab a solar array. These will take 60 days to upgrade. We're going to have a power problem beyond that. These 2 might become something other than information science eventually, because I'm going to need defense stations here eventually. So solar arrays, life sciences. Oh, it's because life science is significantly less energy demanding than the 2 other types we have here, which is information science and xenoscience. Very demanding. We won't replace those ones immediately. I just want my Earth stations, thank you. The shipyard, what has the shipyard got? Military science, which is not ready to upgrade yet. Xenoscience, which will upgrade as soon as the other one does. We just don't want to lose the bonus while the other ones are upgrading, so we'll upgrade those in cycles, plus energy. That's a solar array, so we'll have 3 arrays there, which is good. Material science, social, and 1 information science. Let's upgrade that, because it's going to have 3 like that. We can replace that material lab with a farm, easy as. This is social, which we haven't completed that yet, but 3rd solar array is finishing. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be number 5. If we replace that material science lab with solar, that. And this one had 2 information science labs. But I don't think we need to upgrade those. I think those get replaced. And then I'm going to have to go through Mars as well. Mind you, at the same time this is happening, in a couple of days, this cruiser and frigate are arriving in low Earth orbit. So I might want to get those back and grouped up with Echo 10 and the 4 original testbed vessels very quickly. because if they come after my stations, I'd like to be able to shoot them down in self-defense, although I'm a bit... Oh, wow. Yeah, no. 3 torpedo bays, a point defense laser turret, so actually not as much PD as you might expect, but a lot of torpedoes. They'd get through any PD we can put together at this point. 46 exotic forward armor, 5 side armor, 10 rear armor. That is a brutal ship. And a 510 centimeter violet laser cannon on the nose. Brutal. We would need a lot more missile boats in order to deal with that. And we don't have a lot more missile boats. So, yeah, whatever the Iron Meteor chooses to dish out, we're probably going to have to take. Because we don't even have defense arrays at this point. Although we're moving towards techs that might help us fight on a more even keel. More drives, this time from gas core fission. But what we really need is weapons and armor. And what we don't have is weapons and armor. So I will pick up another Tier 2 research location. There we are, Social Science Research Center. Pick that up. Also picking, it's inefficient because we're doing a bunch of upgrades. We're only 40% at the moment. But autonomous research groups increases the odds of tech unlocking where there's a chance to miss it. This adds a flat 10%. So even though this is slightly slow, it'll still be done by 18 June. We get the bonus back, plus upgrade those social science locations a little bit faster. All right, let's go destroy that station. Okay, 3 new ships have been launched, and they have formed Task Force Pocket Sand, because it's their job to go out and find that surveillance station and knock it out of our orbit. This is the Retrograde, the Reconsideration, and the Retire. They have 6 tube Lars drives, saltwater batteries, molten core reactors, which gives them 19.5 kps for 150 water. And the real armament is the same thing we've seen so far. Artemis torpedo bays, magazines, this time instead of a science lab, liquid hydrogen containment to give them a little more reach. If I am correct, we won't shoot down the surveillance ship just this moment. We'll go out to Luna 1, the Azure Fortress. There is a frigate there, but I'm hoping it doesn't engage us. Okay, unfortunately we might have to do this in 2 goes because the frigate is there. Okay, so the go here, I think, is actually going to be to get a little closer than we normally would because we want to make sure we get our weapons through its PD. And then we're just going to dump everything. We're not going to engage the station straight away. We're not going to have the torpedoes to get through PD. I'm really missing that extra magazine in the design. But at about 1,000 kilometers, yeah, let's just, oh, it's got ECM2. That's what that blue means, isn't it? Yeah, we're jammed out on some of our tubes. It's firing its magnetic weapons back. Let's see if the torpedoes that get through are enough. Okay, it's badly damaged. It's destroyed. We lost 1 ship. So we're now going to have to go back to Earth. We're probably going to have to produce another 3 of these vessels. We have problems in orbit. I have docked with the station. That seems okay. I have docked with the station. I can destroy the HAB. Oh, it's not finished. Fan-bloody-tastic, it's not finished. And apparently I forgot to film this moment, so a little bit of time travel so you can... I'm not going to deny you the satisfaction of pressing this button right here. Bang. Azure Fortress Station in Earth Lunar L1 Halo orbit has been destroyed. The aliens will be engaged in retribution. Absolutely they will. But we will send Task Force Pocket Sand back to Earth as fast as it can go, pretty much. About that. Because we might need them for Earth defense duty. And you know what? With Victor 35, the potential Retaliation fleet arriving in orbit, Pocket Sand Force going back into repair and reload mode. They'll be finished in less than a day, so we'll have 5 defense ships around Earth with 2 more in construction. I might also look at building some monitors now that we have a stronger engine to go with them, although I'd like something better than the Lars, just so we can keep testing engines at a decent rate. That might be where we leave it. We just destroyed an alien surveillance station. We knocked off a frigate. We lost our first ship. One of them didn't make it back, but we still got a little bit. And I think that we're about to deal with our first alien retaliation, which probably means losing some stations, which I'm kind of glad I haven't finished upgrading yet, because I haven't finished researching all the T2 research installations. So maybe we do that after we have a little bit of a clean slate, because I imagine we're about to lose 1 or 2 stations. That's the most likely. The alternative is these guys stay here to defend the surveillance ships, which I might want to then pinch off before they do that. But hopefully, if I can group up and they attack something, maybe, just maybe, I can achieve something. We just saw a frigate destroyed by three of our vessels, getting through 1 alien point defense laser turret. Fine. We'll need more in order to take down a cruiser and a frigate. But that's just, that's if we decide to take them on rather than just taking it on the chin. Anyway, that's where we'll leave it for the moment. Hope you're enjoying. We're breaking into China. Next up, we'll get our 6th counselor next episode, and a whole bunch of research boosts. We're in a little bit of a research nadir at the moment, but that'll all jump as these T2 stations that are currently building steadily come online. We'll unlock mission to Jupiter and then go mission to Mercury. We'll get another counselor. We'll go for Canada. We'll go for more of China. We'll try and resolve as much as possible this cash issue. And as for the aliens, well, for the moment, we're effectively undefeated.